What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hashtag Jump the Podcast. And today we're going to talk about doing the work. I mentioned this at the very end of the very first episode of Hashtag Jump. And that is a big part of your journey of jumping. Is doing the work. You'll never, ever, ever stop doing the work. My life coach said something to me that really took me aback, and I hadn't really thought about it. She looked at me after I got through telling her everything that I was worried about, everything that I was scared of as it related to me wanting to move to New York City and follow my dreams of acting and being a performer and singing and all that good stuff. And I was just going on and on and on and on and on and on. And she was just looking at me like she does and listens, and she's very calm. But then she looked at me when I was done with concern, and very, very thoughtful look on her face. And she was like, "You want this to look pretty, don't you?" And then she smiled, and I smiled with her, honestly. I was taken aback, but I did smile because it was as if she knew all about me. We'd only been meeting for a short time. I mean, long enough for me to trust her, but really, really not too long of a time. But she was very, very, very insightful on who I was as a person based on the things that I was telling her. And what I got from that, from her telling me that, or asking me that rather, was that I am a person that troubleshoots for every possible outcome in my life. And as I've said before in a previous episode, we have to become unattached to outcomes. But I was always trying to make sure I was planning for the best possible outcome when it's totally impossible to do that. A lot of doing the work is ugly. It's not pretty. There are many times when you will not know what's going on. You'll feel like you are all over the place. You'll feel like you're floundering in the water with no life vest, no life preserver, and you'll feel like you're making a fool of yourself. I think that the majority of the process of doing the work is not pleasant, and it's definitely not pretty. And so she said some things to me that, calmed my nerves, and we just started to speak about a plan or how we could tackle this dream that I had, tackle this goal on a smaller scale, which was me doing the work. Doing the work is something that you will be doing forever. As long as you have a dream, as long as you have goals, as long as you, go higher and higher in your career, whatever it is, whatever you're going after, whatever it is that you want in life, doing the work will forever be a part of that. I can attest to getting certain spots in my goals or while following my dream, feeling like I've achieved and made certain milestones. And subconsciously, I think that we start to think, "Oh, I got this." And not that I thought that, but we get comfortable, we get lax. And then something happens and comes along and you're like, "You know what? I will forever be doing the work." There's always something you don't know. There's always something that you could be better at. There's always something to learn. A phrase that I've always adopted, which was actually almost the name of this podcast, was always take the stairs. And I've heard that many times in my life, but what I get from it is that there are no shortcuts. A lot of times we feel like we want to go up the elevator and, you're chilling and going and riding up to your destination. But sometimes, a lot of the times, you have to do that work. You have to put one foot in front of the other and climb those steps. And we're not talking 2, 3, 4 flights of steps. We're talking thousands and millions of flights of steps. And it's almost continuous. Once you reach one level, of success, or whatever success is to you, or you're reaching one goal, there's another set of steps right behind that for you to climb to go to your next one. It never stops. The work never stops, and it's never pretty. It's tiring, it's exhausting, but it's well worth it. And today we're going to talk about some things that I feel are necessary for you on your journey while you're jumping, in doing the work. Some things that are very, very important for you to do while you're doing the work. The first thing I want to talk about is eliminating distractions and unplugging. There are a lot of things that are in our lives that take our attention, that need our attention. You might be someone with a family and children, or a loved one, or you're just very, very busy at work, or you have obligations. outside of family and outside of home, and maybe church involvement, just a bunch of different things that might take your attention. But it's very important to really focus all of your efforts on whatever it is that you're trying to do. And you can do that best by streamlining those things that are a priority and those things that can take a back seat. So that might take you sitting down and having a plan of action. Really, what are the things that I have to do on a day-to-day basis, aside from following my dreams, or aside from the steps that I've taken in order to reach my goals? What are those things that have to happen while I'm chasing my dreams? And I feel like once you make that list and create that list, you'll find that there are many things that are just busy work, or just things that we have become accustomed to doing but aren't necessarily conducive to our lives. They're not very productive to us. It's just another thing for us to do. So once you sit down and really get that list and go through it with a fine-tooth comb, find out what those things are that are a requirement in your life to make your life run, but also the things that you need to do in order to reach your goals. One thing that I found important in eliminating distractions and unplugging is to incorporate slowed response times. And what I mean by that is having slowed response times to my phone. So any text messages, any notifications that I'm getting, any phone calls, I'm not so quick to jump to them as I normally am. I'm a person that if my phone rings, if I get a text message, I answer it, because that's what you're supposed to do. But there's peace that I found in not being so quick to do that. And I've given myself an opportunity to relax more when I do that. I feel like always being at the ready and always ready to respond is not necessarily a good thing, especially when you are in the middle of tasks that you have allotted for that day that pertain to your goals that you want to reach. So you always want to make sure you're being at your maximum level of productivity. And we can do that if we are not so available to our texts and our phones and phone calls. So put your phone on DND, do not disturb, put it on silent or vibrate. Or if you're a person that if you're gonna respond to it, if you see your phone out, put your phone away for 20 minutes, put it in another room or not around you in your working area or whatever space you're doing what you're doing, and just have that time set aside for you to focus on the tasks that are required for you on that day to follow your dreams. And I guarantee you'll find an increase in your level of productivity just by creating those slowed response times to your phone and other outside distractions. Also, under the umbrella of eliminating distractions and unplugging is sacrificing those trips, missing out on events and parties and certain things that you might really, really want to do because you've set the time aside to be productive in following your dreams, or hitting your marks and checking those things off of your list that you have to do on a daily basis to get one step closer to your goal. There's a trip that I always go on with my family around September, October. It usually depends on how the days fall in the year, but it's usually the end of September and the top of October that I was hit or miss at going on once I started to follow my dreams. And it was a trip that I always loved to go on with my family, but because I would be doing a show or I was working because I needed to supplement income because I wasn't in a show, there was always something that I was doing that was doing the work as it related to this trip. But those things are necessary. Sometimes you will have to miss that party or that event, something that you really, really, really might want to go to, and you'll have to sacrifice it for the good of your dream, for jumping's sake, and it's necessary. That happens a lot, and it will always continue to happen. There's no way of knowing when you'll have to do it, but just know that it is a part of following your dreams and making that sacrifice to do everything within your power to actualize those things, to manifest those things, and to see them come to fruition. Sometimes you will have to forego things that you really, really want to do. And it's okay. It's okay. It won't always be that way. But just know that it is a part of doing the work. Taking breaks from social media is another way to eliminate distractions and unplug. And it's something that I feel that we should all do at some point. I do that every day for about an hour when I am working to supplement income if I'm not in a show, or just at a certain point in the day. It's usually around 5 o'clock. So from 5 to 6, I try to not do anything at all. Whether I'm sitting and just thinking about my day, or whether I'm not thinking about anything, just sitting and breathing and just relaxing, decompressing from the day. Find those moments to where you are not on social media. We become so overly stimulated with Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and all of these other apps that are out there that I don't know about. We just get so invested in those, and they consume our lives. We're actually on them during work when you're supposed to be productive doing things at work or other important things. Find times, don't find times and a lot times to unplug and not be on social media. I think this goes hand in hand with the previous point of just not even being in the same room with your phone. But if you are someone that has to be on your phone or have it by you, find ways to not be on social media, or make a conscious effort to not get on social media, because I know that can be an all-day event. You're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, but it takes away from so many productive minutes, so many productive hours that you could be using to check those things off on your list that get you one step closer to following your dreams. And my last point is something that I think is probably the most important of all, is to not get caught up in what other people are doing. I know I'm guilty of it, and I know you might be guilty of it too. Scrolling through social media. Again, there's another reason to unplug from social media and just get away from it for a little while. You might scroll on social media and you see someone doing the exact same thing you want to do, and they might be a little further along, or might be having a little bit more success, or what you think might be success, than what you're having or what you think you should be having. And it can really, really slow you down on that journey. I know firsthand, because I've fallen into that trap many, many times. You can't get caught up in what other people are doing. Their journey is their journey. They're running their race, and you should run yours. I was watching an interview. For those of you that know me very well, know I'm a very, very big opera fan. And I was watching an interview that Leontine Price did in the 80s. She said, individuality is the true minority. And what she meant by that, and what I got by that, or what I got from that rather, was that individuality, or one being oneself, is so rare and something that we don't see a lot of the times, that it is the minority in a world where everyone's following trends. We're doing what we see on social media, which is another reason why we have to unplug and put that phone to the side. We follow what we see on TV, again, on social media, just everything that society tells us, to the point that we're not being true to the things that we love, and the things that are us, the things that are who we are at the core. But the important thing is to realize that this journey is yours. It's no one else's. It's yours. It's tailor-made. It's bespoke for you. And if you're following what everyone else is doing, everything that you see, there's no way that we will get you from you. If we don't get you from you, we won't get it anywhere else. So it's very important to realize that everyone has their journey. Even if you are doing the exact same thing that someone else is doing, it doesn't look the same. Yes, there are elements that probably are very, very similar. The steps to get there aren't going to be the same. They're just not. The different layers of what you might want to do versus what someone else wants to do are going to be very different. Even if you do want to do the same thing, you might be a singer looking at other singers on social media. Your path and your journey won't be the same. So you can't allow those distractions and the things that you see on social media and TV and film and everywhere else in our society and in our world, slow your progress, because that's all that's going to do once you get caught up and invested in what someone else is doing. Run your race, drive your car on your side of the road, and be found walking your path, walking your journey. So the goal for this week is to eliminate distractions and unplug. Find ways to take a break. relax. If you do have your phone, find ways to limit your time on social media. Don't become so invested and distracted by the lives of others that you start to discount your own milestones and successes. Run your race, drive your car, focus on you, because that's where the real competition is. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Hashtag Jump the podcast, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, please make sure to follow, like, subscribe, comment, and share all things Hashtag Jump the podcast.